Hello everyone and thanks for hanging out with me. Today I want to compare Mercedes EQA 250 to the Volkswagen Id.3 first edition 58 kWh battery. And why? Well, because I have both cars here and I think it's interesting. Very important, of course, the EQA is more of a SUV type car and the Id.3 is more of a tall hatchback. And because of that, EQA is taller, wider and longer. It has a bigger battery. It also has more usable energy available, but they have almost the same range. Charging is also very similar with AC and DC. The EQA can hold the 110 kilowatt, where the Id.3 is 100 kilowatt, way longer. It's a way better charging curve, but the consumption is higher. And I already seen on the 1,000 kilometer. Please subscribe, because I did 1,000 kilometers in both of those cars and they were very similar. You can watch the video and see how that ended. When it comes to the motor, they are a bit different. EQA is 140 kilowatt, which is 190 horsepower. Id.3 is 150 kilowatt, which is 204 horsepower. And very important, EQA is front wheel drive and Id.3 is rear wheel drive. The price is also a bit different. EQA is a bit more expensive than the Id.3. Space for the driver. You sit a bit higher, of course, because SUV, as you can see. Space for the driver is really good. You can adjust the steering wheel in both cars the same way. This edition here has electric seats. Mine doesn't have that, but you can have the Id.3 with electric seats. But this car's memory function, Id.3 does not have that. And they have a lot of headroom here, really a lot. I mean, it helps a lot with the sunroof here, but there's a lot of room. And what's also amazing, that the door and the middle console here, you can rest your arms very well. Driving this long distance is very nice. In the Id.3 you sit a bit lower, but it's not too much of a difference. I still have a lot of room here for my head. Again, also very amazing to sit here, and I also like the armrest and the door. Both are soft and you can rest your arms on them. Look at the rear seats in the EQA. The seats overall are a bit firmer, but they're still okay, and they have a nice form. They hold you in place really well. What I notice in here right away is that the rear seats don't hold you, have not that much side support that the Id.3 has. Those are a bit more slippery. The front seats have way more side support than this. I still have a lot of leg room, and I have way more headroom than in the Id.3 here in the back, even without the sunroof. Also, of course, a middle console with two cup holders, and this is also soft. I think it's a bit more space here, and I think I also have more space for my feet to put them under the front seat. Let's look at the rear seats. When I have adjusted the front seat to my height, leg space is a lot. I also can put my feet under the seat, even though I have it all the way down. I have a few pockets here, that's nice. Head space, even when I'm all the way back. I'm 180 centimeters tall, by the way, but I'm also almost touching the ceiling here. But other than that, it's still very comfortable in here, and I like the seats. But now let's look in the interior. The EQA is a bit more button oriented. So you have more buttons here and here. You have bigger screens. Your infotainment system is bigger. It's also way more colorful, and I think it's more resolution. It looks really nice. Sometimes this design can be a bit much. You have a lot of buttons on your steering wheel. The EQA has a weird placement for your phone. There's not a lot of space, and it's just for one phone, and then sideways, and you put it like this. If you want to charge it, you have to put it up here, but of course there's a wireless charger also in there. Nice in the rear is that you have your own vents, but you only have one USB-C, but in here are two USB-Cs if you need them. The Id.3 interior is way less buttons. They even saved the rear window buttons. You have to press an extra button to control the rear windows. And it's just no button in the middle. There's nothing here. only your two USB-Cs, and it's a smaller screen, but it's more to the right. I prefer that, so it's more here. You can see everything in the EQA. I cannot see the left bottom here. And the instrument cluster is smaller, and you cannot change much. You can just change the view from left to right. In the EQA you can do way more things. Ooh, that's full. But the vents are not so intrusive. The steering wheel is very nice. You have all your buttons. They're not real buttons, they're haptic buttons. In the EQA there are real buttons without any feedback. The rear seats also have your pocket. You have a pocket here in front, and you have two USB-Cs here. I just have adapters in here for USB-A because I need them in the rear. You have two lights in the front and two lights in the back. The trunk in the EQA is also very nice. On the spec sheet it should be smaller than the Id.3, but it doesn't look that way. The trunk of the Id.3 of course is not electric, but when you look at the size, I don't know, it's lower, it's deeper. I think it's more space, but I think EQA is a bit longer. Both have only one light and both have 12-volt outlet in the trunk. But I think now it's time to drive them and see how they differ when driving. Let's start with the steering. Both cars have very similar steering, and both cars steer very, very well. They're very precise. It's not too soft, not too hard. And they're both very stable. So when you drive even at higher speeds on the highway, the steering wheel is not moving all over the place. In the Id.3, the power distribution is very direct, very fast, and so your gas pedal reacts very fast to your movement, and it feels way more agile. It's same as going into corners. Id.3, the suspension is not as soft, but still soft enough to have a comfortable drive, and it just feels better when you accelerate, and it's always there. There's not spinning wheels, or you can't do it in the corner and stuff like this. It's just there, and it feels very safe and very nice. I like it more. Even in comfort mode, it doesn't have to be sport mode. When you floor it, you feel something, and you feel electric power, and it feels good. It's not amazing power, it's not, oh my god, this is so much power, I don't know what to do with it, but you still feel it and you feel happy. The suspension is really nice. It's for me the best suspension of those two, because it's still comfortable, but it's not swimming and it's not jumping. I prefer it. But with stability, they're both very similar, even on high speeds. The interaction with your screen, here it's just 90% is touch screen, just a few buttons, and in the EQA you just have to press buttons and move forward and everything. It's just a different way. I don't think one is better than the other. The turning circle in the Id.3 is smaller than in the EQA, but still for an SUV the EQA is still okay. But the power, it just feels better. No, way better. Missed you. Haven't driven him in a while. I also think in the Id.3 you're not overwhelmed with things. So it's not too much going on in the instrument cluster. It's not too much going on here of design-wise in the middle. Just how you interact with the car, with the touch screen. I think it's a bit more relaxing when you look at it and how you interact with the car than in the EQA. But in the EQA you have way more options to design your instrument cluster and what you see in your infotainment system. I also prefer Android Auto in the Id.3. I don't have it right now, I have a cable, sorry. But you see more information about your phone, that you're connected to the internet, how the battery is of the phone. And when you have the map, you also see, sorry, that's the gesture control. EQA doesn't have that either, or does it? I don't think so. And when you are in the map, you can still see your music, Spotify or whatever you're using on the bottom to press play or pause. In the EQA you just have the map, or you have Spotify. You can select those too. Yeah, in the EQA the view outside in the back when you have to reverse is better. you can see more. Overall, I have to say EQA is a really, really good car. I was very surprised. I like it a lot. Charging is amazing. I love that I don't have to think about at what percentage I plug in. It's always a good charging speed, even at 40%. I like that really a lot. But overall, Id.3 feels better, more agile, more power. It feels like more power. It's less busy in here. And I like the suspension better. Yes, the EQA has a bit more features that some people will love. So Id.4 level, but the features I don't need. I don't need memory seats, and I don't need electric liftgate. I don't need that. I love it way more how you position your phone in the Id.3, and that's important to me, that the phone is not in the way somewhere. Driving the EQA is just very nice. It's very comfortable. Steering wheel, like I said, very close to the Id.3. It's firm, it's not too soft, it's very precise, it's very stable. When it comes to regen in here is way better than in the Id.3. It's stronger, you can control it maybe a tiny bit better in the Id.3, but still, it's very nice. The suspension is very comfortable, maybe a bit too soft, so it's okay on normal road and on the highway, but when you go above 90 kilometers an hour and there's a big bump, then you feel like you're almost flying, and that's not a nice feeling. You feel a tiny bit out of control. I don't like that. I prefer the Id.3 when it comes to this. This car is not very agile, and so going into a corner, it's just totally different. It's not, I wouldn't say the Id.3 is sporty, but this is less sporty. And the biggest difference is the front wheel drive. Yes, it's only 10 horsepower less, but it feels way less, and you can control the power very well. You get spinning wheels when you're not perfectly straight. When it's a bit of a corner and you floor it, you feel the spinning wheels, and you feel the torque steer. Front wheel drive in an EV is just, in my opinion, outdated. I think they should go with something else. When it comes to the screens, of course, when you're driving, you have way more information than in the Id.3 and animations and stuff like this. But sometimes this can be a bit too much. But everyone has a different taste. The same as at the infotainment screen. Infotainment screen, for my view and for my steering adjustment, even if the steering wheel is all the way in the front, is a bit too much to the left. I cannot see the left bottom. I can't see it because the steering wheel is blocking it. I always have to go by. Look at the power now. It's good. It's not, oh my God, there's no power at all, but it's also not, it doesn't give you the EV grin. And even the Id.3 with just 10 horsepower more, it's 14 horsepower more, you just feel it, and it just makes a difference that the rear wheel drive in the Id.3 just feels way better. Noise level, I think they're pretty much the same, even on higher speeds. I'm very surprised about this car. I thought I would never like it, but even on the first day I already thought, it's not so bad. It doesn't look as bad. It's not so SUV-like as I thought, because I don't like SUVs. So I could drive this car and be happy. The only two things that I don't like about this car, what I already said, is the front wheel drive and the suspension a tiny bit too soft, a bit too jumpy. Yeah, it's a few days later, also in this video. I forgot some things that I wanted to talk about with the EQA. First of all, the app. in the EQA has way more features than in the Id.3. You can do way more stuff. You can see if the car is locked, you can lock it. You can see if the windows are closed, the sunroof, the trunk, the hood. You see all of this, even the charge port, you can see all of this. And that's just amazing, and and even preheating works way faster than in the Id.3. Id.3 it takes like 70 seconds till preheating starts. In the EQA it's 5 seconds or so that's really okay. But what EQA app is missing, what the Id.3 has, is the charging speed. You can see it, yes, in kilometers per hour in the Id.3, but at least you see, okay, it's charging. You almost know, usually you know, around 50-60 kilometers per hour is 11 kilowatt, for example, and so this helps a bit. But in the EQA you just see an arrow with 1, 2 or 3 lines, and the one line usually means under 11 kilowatt, 2 under 50, and 3 should be high power charging. That's it. And the other thing that was so important and totally forgot in the video is that the brake feel in the EQA is way better. In the Id.3, when you drive a bit sporty and then you have to brake, the change from regen into braking is a bit weird. It's not done perfectly. So if you have to brake harder, you have to press very hard. It's harder than you think you should. But in the EQA, it's just fine. The only problem that the EQA has with braking is when you go over a bit of a bumpy road, because of this jumpy suspension, sometimes the braking doesn't do too much because you're jumping up a bit. I noticed that a few times. But that's it for me. Thank you much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.